Appreciate you all joining us. And my name is Gebbie. I'm president of Evolving Solutions. And yeah, I want to welcome you to our fourth installment of our Top Technology Trends webinar. We do this every year. Invite a small group of folks to join us as we talk about what we see for the coming year. And then we'll record this and share this out with a wider audience over the coming days. But we appreciate you joining here today. And Michael and I, when we get going, we'll probably talk for about 25 minutes or so, and then we'll get to the main show with the whiskey tasting. So if we want to go to the next slide, just want to introduce a couple of folks that are going to be joining me today. Michael Downs is our Chief Technology Officer. Michael is up in our headquarters in Minneapolis, so I guess he's going to be drinking at work today. And I'm home in Omaha right now, so I'm at home, so I can do whatever I want. So I might be tasting later. And then Erin Swain is on, and she'll be joining us live from New York. And Erin, I think, is our third time joining us. Erin is a sommelier and mixologist and has done whiskey tastings for us in the past and has done wine tastings in the past and cocktail making. So she's going to join us today as we do the tasting from Heaven's Door. And I have not seen the movie yet, but Bob Dylan's whiskey and bourbon, it's supposed to be awesome. So looking forward to that. If we go to the next slide, I know a lot of folks on the line know Evolving Solutions, and some are newer. I was looking at the list of attendees earlier. So just a kind of a reset on who Evolving Solutions is. We're a technology solutions provider. This is our 29th year in business. So we're getting ready for our 30th anniversary in 2026, just about a year from now in January 26. We started in the infrastructure space and have made a lot of investments where the market is going, where our clients are going over the last several years. And we really focus in three key areas, or really dive into three areas with our clients: modernization, automation, and securing of their mission critical applications, infrastructure, cloud, you name it, to make sure that your technology environments are serving the organization and helping you grow and be competitive in the marketplace. If you haven't seen yet, you probably will after this, but modern operations is really where all of our focus is at. And many of you that have been in the industry for a while, you'll know that data tells us 60, 70% of an organization's time and resources, and most importantly, people time, is often spent just running technology. And in a lot of cases, we're still doing things the same way we have for the last 10, 15 years. Our goal in life is one thing: help our clients really modernize how you're operating your technology environments to go free up the resources, time and people and money to really focus on innovation, the future, and really being more competitive and more agile as an organization to support your end users and your clients. So hopefully you'll learn a little bit from us today on kind of what we see happening in 25. And this is, you're going to hear as we go through some things that we've seen from analysts, from our industry peers, from our vendor partners, and most importantly, from our clients. So with that, I'm going to pass it off to Mr. Downs to talk about a couple of our first trends here for 2025. Michael, thank you for joining me, and I'll pass it off to you.
Good. Thanks, Bo. So I think you're all going to be either rolling your eyes or delighted that the trends are some things we've been talking about for a long time. But I think that's because many of them are relevant, and it's all, I think, different perspectives that we're hearing from our clients around all these things. And it would be not a presentation about trends if we didn't talk about cybersecurity. So we're going to kick off here. Cybersecurity has really changed quite a bit in the last 5 years for sure, and even in the last year. Even in the last few months, I think there was a publication today about the fact that some of our state actor adversaries are using generative AI to craft phishing emails and to craft targeted spear phishing threats into companies inside of the United States. So cybersecurity continues to be on the front burner for most organizations. And there's a few things that we think are key in this space. Really, what we oftentimes talk about is GRC, governance, risk and compliance, SecOps, and also identity are the three things that we really feel are the core of this. And nothing revolutionary there. We've been talking about SecOps since the 90s. We've been talking about GRC for at least 20 years. and identity has been around since as long as we've had computers. So what's different? And I think the real huge change with all of this is all of these things have evolved. GRC is a super important theme, but we're into a place now where people are having a difficult time having metrics and KPIs that actually show them the risk profile that they are actually experiencing. And so we're working with clients around that space. I think that's an important trend. There's also this push towards a different way of looking at SecOps. Historically, everything is sort of headed towards the SIM, headed towards maybe log aggregation or log centralization and being analysis against that. We're at a place where that's no longer adequate with the dynamic threats that are going on, and being able to use tools and capabilities to dynamically look at different sources of data and be able to look at what exactly is going on inside of an environment real time, proactively, based off of a wide variety of tools, gives you an ability to see things with a lot clearer view and be able to automate your ability to remediate those issues, to be able to lock threat actors out very quickly. And then, of course, no presentation or discussion would be complete without mentioning AI. So safeguarding AI is another huge piece of cybersecurity. I'm sure everyone has seen, you can't miss, frankly, the DeepSeek announcements over the last few days. I talk a little bit more about that on the next slide, but one of the things that came out this morning is it's the top downloaded app at the Apple Store. If you're using the app on Apple, you're sending your data to China. We're worried about TikTok. This is like a whole different league of sending personal data, query data, and wherever else overseas. So just a whole different school of consideration as we start looking at AI. It's important. It's a powerful tool for all of our businesses, including our own. But that's really has brought a whole new level of security to the fore. And so while we're talking about AI, a key point on this is getting ready for the different ways that we're going to be able to use AI or need to be able to use AI. A lot of people think about AI as just using ChatGPT or maybe using Copilot. Maybe you're using Copilot on your Office or Microsoft 365 install. We are in some cases. It's been a huge boon for us in certain things that we're doing internally and for clients. We actually had somebody internally build a chat bot that allows us to query our territory reviews so that we can pull out interesting facts about across all the people who presented. So easy, quick things to do that you can do with chat AI that sort of shortens your life cycle to value. The challenge inside of an enterprise is there's a lot of different ways this can be deployed. You can, previous slide, you've got to worry about security if you're looking at an external source for like a ChatGPT or Claude or any of the others that are actually outside of your company. If you choose to take a different approach and you want to put that model inside of your company and look at your own data, there's a whole set of infrastructure challenges that go with that. And being able to build an infrastructure platform that supports your ability to make the choices your business needs to make to identify the risks that are the most important for them is key. And again, there's a diverse set of approaches that are common in AI right now. And the other thing that's important about DeepSeek is it proves that this market isn't settled yet. There are a bunch of ways that AI is actually going to come in and be used and be deployed that are still forming out in the broader ecosystem, in the tech ecosystem. So having a flexible infrastructure and a flexible ability to change when new ideas come in or new ways of deploying come in is really crucial. And one of the things that we can't escape as we start talking about AI is the amount of power that it takes to train models and the amount of power it takes to infer results out of those models. So sustainability has really become a trend as well, right, Bo?
Yeah, absolutely, Michael. And I think whether, wherever you lie in terms of, some of the things that are happening in our political system and whatnot, I will say sustainability, as we look at it, is no longer a buzzword, right? And for so long, it's been a buzzword or just something in a corporate report. But going off of what you said, Michael, I think the key thing that we're seeing from an AI standpoint is across all of our clients, it's been in many organizations, AI has been a science project over the last 24 months. Now we're seeing organizations say, we're still going to invest in it, but where's the actual ROI? Like, I want to see the science project become reality and help us with productivity. And what that's causing then from a sustainability standpoint is the amount of power and resources that's going to take to drive all of these things, even with all the changes in the AI industry over the last 72 hours, the costs are going to continue to increase. And that's everything from electricity and resources and all the things that it takes to go from there. I was at my dreaded HOA meeting last night, literally the least fun thing you can do as a homeowner. But in our session last night at the HOA, they were talking about giving up part of our land in the neighborhood to go create a solar farm because we just built Google down the street. They've invested $1 billion in Omaha, where I live, and their massive power consumption. What does that also mean? It's coming down to our clients and ourselves. Our clients here in town are seeing their power bills skyrocket. We have to operate differently because of some of the other players that are out there. So sustainability now is really going from a buzzword to how do we make sure that we're addressing this from a financial standpoint? And so as you think about electricity going up, really then what we're seeing as well, not only the metrics and KPIs around AI, we're seeing that more and more being driven into executive plans, compensation, strategies, KPIs, regarding sustainability in our own clients. And that's becoming more and more prevalent. Us as an organization, for those of you, some of you on the phone or on the call, I know report out to CDP, which is the largest nonprofit out there that manages sustainability reporting. We do that as an end user based on many of you on this call saying we care about what our vendors are doing from a sustainability standpoint. So I see that as becoming more and more important from KPIs for IT organizations. And Michael and I, you're going to hear us talk a couple times about technical debt, inefficient, old, legacy things. I mentioned earlier, 60-70% of a lot of organizations' data and time and process goes to operating things how we used to. That also involves a lot of legacy infrastructure, legacy applications, i.e. technical debt, i.e. expensive, and i.e. unsustainable. So how do we help modernize and look at those, whether that's modernizing the data center, whether that's looking at hybrid cloud, whether that's moving and modernizing, continuing that journey into public cloud. All these things come together. And really at the end of the day, all these things I just talked about, if you take nothing from the slide, cost optimization is really what sustainability means in 2025 from our perspective. So, I mean, with that, Michael, I just mentioned cloud in a couple of capacities. Cloud is also 15 years old probably by this point, but we're not done yet, right? So maybe talk a little bit about what our perspective on cloud maturity and what we're seeing right now.
I thought you put this slide in here by mistake. I thought this was like the 15-year version of the top tech trends. But so why are we talking about cloud maturity in 2025? It really comes down to three things. And at least two of them I don't think we would have expected, certainly not 10 years or 15 years ago. So I'd mentioned AI projects earlier and the requirement for flexibility in order to be successful with AI. Most of us are not going to go train our own models. Most of us are going to use models that were created by other organizations, leading organizations, but a lot of us are going to do inference with those models. In other words, trying to get results out of those models, oftentimes using our own data or using particular data we've gathered from external organizations blended with our own data. All of these deployments for AI don't just happen. They need applications in front of them. You have to plug an application into these things. That was actually probably the most interesting thing about the DeepSeek announcement was the open source nature of that model allows an application developer to be able to plug an application into using that model, download it, installed inside of your data center, and be able to get results. Just like there are other models like that. DeepSeek isn't new that way. There are plenty of others, IBM's Granite, Hugging Face is an entire website dedicated to downloadable large language models that you can use inside of your world. My point with all of this, though, is that in order to use those models, you've got to build an application that takes advantage of the results. So anytime you build an application in the 2020s, you're going to use Kubernetes, you're going to use containers, you're going to use microservices. That's what developers know. That's what they're good at. That's the way you get efficiency. That's the way you get flexibility, reliability. That's the way you get the things that you need in order to be able to innovate quickly, in order to make change. And this market is changing faster than anything. So there's a level of Kubernetes and cloud skills that's going to be required in order to be successful with AI projects. That has come to a new level of urgency that wasn't there even 2 years ago. Yes, we all needed cloud resources. Yes, we all had cloud teams, and we all had sometimes we had legacy teams that were different, and we had the both inside of our own organizations. Now we really have to have this cloud and Kubernetes skills in order to be able to take advantage of AI. And frankly, oftentimes you're going to take advantage of legacy data in order to make good AI decisions. To Bo's point, these things are starting to bleed together now. This sort of need to modernize and look at legacy resources in order to be able to take advantage of what you want to do with your AI initiatives, it plays right into this. The other trend that's huge is around FinOps. And we've been talking about, if you go back one slide for me, sorry about that. We've been talking a lot about FinOps for a while now, and we've always talked about the ability to optimize inside of your own data center. But FinOps has really changed that game. And as Bo mentioned, people are going from experimenting with AI initiatives to actually having to prove the ROI on it. FinOps and the ability to really tie a set of technology resources back to a business service and be able to connect that to the values delivering to the business is huge. And we're seeing more and more interest in that inside of our clients. And finally, there's really been this new maturity of virtualization inside of our environments. And whether we could attribute it to the Broadcom acquisition of VMware or just a new maturity inside of the technology landscape, as soon as we need to rethink the way that we've always done our internal systems, people start to consider that maybe cloud or maybe a refactoring or maybe a rewriting of an application is going to change the way that they want to do virtualization. That's accelerating cloud adoption inside of a lot of our clients. That, coupled with some of the innovations that have gone on in the Linux community and SUSE and Red Hat and others, to allow you to run full-on virtual machines inside of a Kubernetes cluster, really gives you an option that you didn't have before. And so people are looking at how their landscape is built out for their applications, where particular applications should live, and what's the best platform to run particular applications and workloads on. And that, again, that may have been sparked by a particular event around the Broadcom acquisition of VMware, but I think it was due and it was coming anyway. So it's moving us forward. So all of that cloud maturity also results in another thing that cloud has been mixed on, which is resilience. So one of the things that I think is important as we start thinking about moving into AI, moving into more cloud, is how does resilience change as you do this? There's a lot of different ways that we think about resilience, but one of them is really around technical debt and being able to use newer tools around resilience in order to be able to be successful going forward. And one of the things that is driving this even more is our first trend, which is cybersecurity. The fact that there are more, and we've gone from an environment where data protection and backup and recovery was really about a natural disaster that might never happen in the entire career of most of the IT people inside of your firm, to recovering from a ransomware attack or recovering from another kind of threat actor getting into your environment, which almost certainly will happen to you in the next 18 months. The dynamics required in order to be able to recover from that environment, in order to be able to look at both the being sure that you get a clean copy back into your environment, as well as being able to quickly come back to recovery, are very different from that sort of legacy environment where we were anticipating a natural disaster. The other thing I'll say is, in the case of a natural disaster or any kind of a physical incident that impacted your ability to deliver IT services, you got some grace from people. That was uncommon. It didn't happen very often. And so the public more generally sort of went, well, yeah, that can expect that, because that's something that was a large event that impacted a lot of people. In this, with the frequency of cybersecurity events, the impact to the brand and the impact to just your cost profile from those things being down is in a whole different category. You don't sort of get the same leeway from public and consumers that you used to. Further, you have so many more systems that are tied to technology, like warehouse systems or manufacturing systems, that if those systems are corrupted or penetrated and brought down, that's going to have an immediate financial impact on you in a different kind of way than the loss of a data center might have in previous sort of iterations of thinking about resilience and data protection. So all of these things really moving out of technical debt in order to take advantage of newer trends, the fact that you need to in order to be able to be more efficient. All of this brings up another really important factor, which is skills. And the skills shift is really, really a big deal. And I wanted Bo to touch on this for us for a little bit.
Yeah, Michael, thank you. And as you were talking on the last slide around resilience, and you talk about, we talk about tools, we talk about policies, we talk about training. Guess what we often hear the most from our clients and partners? The training part is what's forgotten. So many organizations are trying to prepare and spend money on tools and all these things to stop a breach. A breach is almost inevitable for many organizations, right? Are we actually spending time on the training, the tools, the training around the tools and the policies of how to actually deal with it and recover? One just small example as we talk about skills evolution and the need. We are in the middle of what's called the enrollment cliff right now. So NAFSA, which is a nonprofit, works a lot in colleges, recruiting, enrollment. They've been planning for this for years. Think back what happened 18 years ago. The economy wasn't so great. Less children being born as you're going into that economic recession. Well, guess what? It's 18, 19 years later. There are less people going to college. There's a lot of debate on the value of college. There's less people going to technical schools right now just because there's less people going into, less students of age to be able to go into tech school or into four-year universities. There are no more people coming, right? We thought about at COVID that maybe this was a temporary thing as we dealt with workforce shortages. Let me just tell you, there are no more people coming. And the war for talent is going to get harder and harder. And by the way, more expensive. And so really what we're seeing now is over the next 4 or 5 years, I'm going to share, and I want to share 2 stats with you, and they're kind of different percentages.
Oh, no, I understand.
But they're
right.
They're reiterating the same, the kind of the point here. One of them is around the World Economic Forum, their Future of Jobs report. According to the World Economic Forum, they believe 40% of workers' core skills are going to need to change by 2030. That's not even advanced skills. That's saying core skills, because back to what we just talked about, cybersecurity, AI, work is going to be different. Even in what we do today, how are we helping our workers prepare for that? And that's 5 years out. And then another stat from IDC, which is a similar, kind of analyst to Gartner, according to their industry predictions right now. And this is kind of crazy to me. 95% of current IT and line of business jobs are either going to be redefined or eliminated in the next 5 years. And really, whether eliminated might be current jobs are going to be eliminated by AI, which open new jobs for some, in a new skill, new area. But that redefined, whether you're talking about the World Economic Forum, you're talking about the IDC data, that is key here. It is expensive to go acquire new talent, and it is not. I'm trying to think the right way to say it. It's going to get more expensive. Are you investing as an organization, as a technology leadership in your own people to be able to help them into the next evolution of skills? It is now upon us. And so how do we help our existing talent drive more around AI, leverage AI? If we're not helping them as an organization, leverage AI, like Michael talked about some of the outside tools and resources, people are going to go do it on their own. They're doing it on their own. It doesn't go back into the resiliency and the governance things that we've talked about. All of these things are so intertwined. And so as we think about tools and adoption, it's how do we help people reskill and how do we help them make it not so scary? And that's the thing that I think is a lot of people are worried about AI taking jobs. It might, it will, but there's going to be new jobs that are emerging from that. And we have to be leaders on that. So I'll get off that soapbox. I'm passionate about this. We do a lot as an organization to figure out where we're going to go invest in skills, partner with organizations that are helping develop the students coming out of high school that may not be ready for a four-year university or may not want it. How do we help them? And so there's a lot of things that we can do collectively. And so, if we go to the last slide here, as Michael and I have talked about, all of these things, you've seen some of these for a long time. Cloud, we're thinking about it differently though, based on what's happening around AI, around cyber, around resilience, around things happening in the virtualization market. All of these are intertwined. And so as you think about security, I think about, Michael said a couple of things: dynamic, real time, i.e. make decisions faster, because when a breach happens or if a breach is happening, How do we move and have the right tools and policies to make sure we're protected and we can recover? As we think about AI enablement, kind of what we just talked about, if you don't enable it, you're going to get left behind. Your teams, your employees are going to go figure out other ways to leverage AI. And then your organization might be further at risk because you're not under those governance and security policies that you're trying to establish. In sustainability, cost, more power, more cost. Sustainability, I equals cost containment, cost control, cost mitigation. How do we make sure that we're taking out technical debt, taking out inefficiencies, and really optimizing to make sure that we can grow and be competitive? As we think about cloud maturity, we talked about this a little bit more here, but the skills that are enabled, the different ways that are of computing and of tracking. Michael talked about FinOps. Cloud costs have gone out of control over the last several years in a lot of cases. FinOps is real. Are you taking advantage of the tools and the policies and the capabilities around something like FinOps to really control and optimize those costs? There's a lot of ways to do that. As we think about resilience, whether that's in the data center, whether it's in a hybrid cloud environment or public cloud, it's not your grandpa's resilience anymore, right? There's your data is everywhere. There's AI involved. There's new people, new tools involved. How do we make sure that we have the right policies, tools, and training to be protected and to recover? And then finally, we talked a lot about skills there. But even for 1 through 5, the skills that we have today look different than 5 years ago, and your requirements in the next 12 months to 5 years are going to be dramatically different than what your team looks like today. How are we helping as organizations bring our people along? So, Michael, did I miss anything there as we kind of as we sum up and we think about the rest of the year?
Oh, I don't think so. I think the main theme I would echo is what Bo hit on. All these things are interrelated. Cybersecurity is required for AI. AI enables both cyber penetration as well as increased cybersecurity. Sustainability makes AI work. Cloud maturity makes AI work. All those things bring a new perspective to resilience. And of course, the skills piece is a huge factor. So I think you hit it all.
Well, thank you. And as we move into the fun part, I just want to say, thank you for your time. Thanks for your business and your partnership. Our team is growing leaps and bounds every day. We're investing in the areas we just talked about and a lot of other areas. So if there's things that you heard that you're like, I want to learn more about that, or you have other questions, feel free to reach out to your Evolving Solutions contact, respond to the email confirmation that you got for this event if you don't know who to reach out to, and we'd love to have a conversation.